Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Kelowna, British Columbia. I am here today for a mikveh opening. So actually for me now it is 6:47 a.m., but I didn't want to miss a Tanya class. So got up early just to be here with you guys. And I'll show you around some of the beauty. If you could see, there are the hills of Kelowna. Maybe I'll take you later to the back where you could see the lake. It was supposed to rain today, but tonight is the mikveh opening. So I know Hashem is going to give them gorgeous weather. The shluchim here are Rabbi Shmuley and Frady Hecht, a really beautiful, beautiful couple with 7 incredible children. And these children are homeschooled. These children are learning Torah and Chassidus on the computer. They sit in their rooms, in their little offices in their home here in Kelowna. And they study. They study. They have friends from all over the world. Very, very special group of children, I could tell you that much. And I'm very inspired. That's why I decided I'm going to just wake up early out of reflection on the kind of shluchim that the Rebbe sends to places like Kelowna. I don't know if you can see. Rosalie, can you see the mountains in the back? Covered with snow. It's really beautiful. Can you see it? Can anybody see the background? No, anybody? It's really, really gorgeous here. Let me see if I can get through to show you a little bit more. Oh, maybe I could take you to the back and I'll be able to show you the gorgeous view of the lake here. Let's go. Let's come with me on a little tour of Kelowna. Hello, Allison. Good morning, Rosalie. Good morning, Helga. Let's see what we can find over here in gorgeous BC. Have any of you ever been to British Columbia before? Anybody been here before? It's really, really quite the place. Hashem created a gorgeous world. Oh, here we are. All right, I'm going to show you some magic of Kelowna. And it's a little bit cold, but it is Canada. And here we are. Oh my gosh, check this out. Yeah. It's quite gorgeous. Good morning, Arlene. Good morning, Evelyn. So, here we are, learning about Tanya. We're up to chapter 3. And in chapter 3, we already had been introduced to the 2 souls. Any remember what the 2 souls are called? The first one we introduced to, anybody remember? Put it down in the comments if you remember what is the first soul. Anybody? Hey, Evelyn in Joy, Connecticut. Anybody remember what is the first soul? Come on, guys, you know. It's the Nefesh Elokit. I'm sorry, the first soul that we learn about is the Nefesh Bahamut, the animal soul. And the second soul we learn about is the godly soul. So today we're going to talk about if the godly soul is given to us, if the godly soul is given to us later on in life, how are we supposed to make godly choices, right? The animal soul is all about self-preservation. The animal soul is all about taking care of myself, my needs, my desires, right? The godly soul is all about Torah and mitzvahs. How do I allow my godly soul to run the roost, so to speak, right? I can tell you that last night, these seagulls that are here in British Columbia, they literally, they make noise all night, right? They literally run the roost. And I couldn't fall asleep till 1 o'clock in the morning. If my voice sounds raspy, it's because I didn't sleep more than 4 or 5 hours. But we don't want selfishness to run our lives. We want to be godly people. How do we do that? So Hashem gives us this Nefesh Elokis, but He gives us tips in chapter 3. And this is what I'm going to talk about right now. Short, sweet, to the point. How does the godly soul, if anybody has any ideas how the godly soul can be the dominant soul of your life, put it down in the comments. Maybe Tanya, maybe Helga, maybe Evelyn, Lynn. Put it down in the comments. How would you understand that the godly soul should be the dominant soul and should be able to override the instincts of your animal soul? The animal soul says, I need, give me, I want. The animal soul is the one that if your spouse says something inconsiderate, you'll be there to knock him down, to say something stinging, to say something that will be hurtful, because the animal soul protects itself. But we don't want to be humans that are controlled by our animal soul. Even when raising children, our child spilt the milk. What is our reaction? Do we allow the animal soul scream, you selfish little boy, you klutzy little girl, don't you know milk is expensive? Why couldn't you watch what you were doing? Right? That could be a very typical reaction from the animal soul. But how would we allow the godly soul to take precedence and to kick in first? So that's chapter 3. That's what we are going to learn about right now. So we know that each one of us is comprised of 10 faculties. You remember we spoke about this? That the animal soul and the godly soul each have 10 faculties, actually mirroring God's makeup. And because Tanya is a book of inspiration, it first has to give us the instructions how to be able to be godly, good people. It's like doctors, before they can start curing anyone, they need to learn the anatomy, right? So they spend months and years learning about what's inside the human being. You can't just come with a shot and give it to your patient because you know about medicine. You have to know exactly what is the makeup of the human. The same thing is with us as students of the Tanya. If we want to be able to control our emotions, we have to know what are the emotions. What does it look like inside? And that is what we call the 10 sfirot, or the 10 kochot. The first 3 are chachma, bina, and da'at. That's wisdom. Bina is understanding, and da'at. Okay, guys, I don't know what happened over there, but it looks like I lost some of the internet, so we'll get right back onto it. Okay, so we're learning today about how da'as is that third level of our faculties. And in order for a person to really to be able to change their reactions, you have to have the first 3 intellectual faculties in sync. You have chachma, which is the wisdom. You have bina, which is the understanding. But then you need the da'as. And what is the da'as? The da'as is the focus. You are internalizing what you learned, what you know, and how you want to change. So as I said before, we said, what if you want to react differently to your spouse? Right? What if you want to act differently to your child? How would you do that? You have to be able to focus on what is your, what is entering into your chachma and bina. I'll give you an example. Everything in life, what you put in is what you get out. Am I right? Sophie, Melanie, right? So if you put in to, let's say you're making a smoothie and you're putting in blueberries and oat milk and chia, and you're putting in, bananas and strawberries, you'll get a smoothie that reflects those ingredients. You're not going to get a chocolate chip cookie if this is what you put in. You're always going to get out what you put in. So in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe tells us, if you really want to change our behavior, we have to put in different ingredients. So the Chachma, just knowing I want to be a different wife or a different mom. Bina, I understand that being a good mother with patience is a very, very crucial step in raising resilient, happy children. But how do I do that? Just knowing it, just the wisdom alone doesn't make you change. So what makes the change? The da'as, the third level, the third intellectual level. That's where you internalize it and you act upon it. So, for example, if you want to bring out a delicious smoothie, what you put in is what you're going to get out. If you want to be patient and godly and holy with your children, learn and read and immerse yourself in those kinds of teachings. You know, when we were coming to Kelowna, so we had to find a place to stay. So I, went on to Expedia and put in Kelowna. And for the rest of the day, all I got on my social media was Kelowna ads. Kelowna this, Kelowna that, Kelowna. Whatever you feed your Chachma and Bina is what's going to come out. So if we want to change our behaviors, we have to think about what's going into our understanding, into our mind, into the things we read, into the people we hang out with. It's very interesting because when we read certain novels, or we watch certain movies, or we watch certain shows, and then we wonder why we talk certain language, right? The Rebbe was very, very careful with the words he used. The Rebbe never used words like bad, treif, death. The Rebbe never used those words. The Rebbe would use the opposite. The Rebbe would say the opposite of life, or not good. So we know when we talk about raising children, we know that you don't say to a child, stop hitting your brother. What we say is, hands are used for gentle things, right? Using the positive. Because what we bring into our Chachma Bina Dat is what will come out into our action. Because we are all made up, and this is what the Tanya in chapter 3 tells us. Hashem has given us each 10 faculties, and those are the tools with which we react to people at work, to our spouses, to our children. We could be the most brilliant doctors, philosophers, psychologists, teachers, but if we're just spouting that knowledge, but it's not been internalized, the da'as. So in order to internalize what you want to learn, and then to be able to change your life, then you have to immerse yourself with your Chachma and Bina, internalize that good, godly way of being, but then da'as, make it you. Make it you. So the people you hang out with, the situations you find yourself with, the movies you watch, the books you read, the kinds of conversations we have around our Shabbos table, that all feeds into what will eventually come out. What will my behaviors be if my child breaks something? Will I yell and say, you klutz? Or will I say, wow, that was quite the mistake. We have to be so careful the way we run around the house. Come, help mommy clean up. We're going to make sure that this never happens again. And you sit down with a calm, positive nature because you have immersed yourself, your Chachma and your Bina have been immersed with fine words, with fine character, with godly situations. So there's no trick in becoming a fine and refined person. It's just a matter of what you immerse yourself with. I give the example specifically to high school kids that are struggling, right? They're all struggling with what are they going to be like? What's their future going to look like? What kind of friends do they want to hang out with? So the analogy I like to give is the analogy of the pickle. Right? What's the analogy of the pickle? You take a cucumber and you want to make it into a pickle. So what do? You immerse it into a jar with all kinds of herbs. Right? You've heard this before, right? You immerse it in, basil and garlic and dill and salt and black peppercorns, right? And you sit it there for about a month. You open the jar and voila, out comes a pickle. Now, can you ever make the pickle back into a cucumber again? Can you? Impossible. Once a cucumber has become a pickle, it stays a pickle forever. This is what we want to do with our emotions. We want to immerse our chachma and bina, our intellect and our wisdom. We want to immerse it into good, wholesome, godly experiences, so that when we take it out and becomes the das, and we want to change, we become a pickle. Why? Because we immerse ourselves with learning Tanya, with learning Chumash, with reading the Parsha, with going online and going to Chabad.org and reading good things, reading wholesome things. When we immerse ourselves, even with music, if we immerse ourselves with music that's rap, or music that has foul language, for example, you think, I like the beat. What's the big deal? I like the beat. That music eventually becomes you. Even though you don't like Kanye West, he's a terrible anti-Semite, right? You say, well, he has good beaty music. That music becomes part of you. I know, Nikki, you will explain to our Tanya class right now. The only music Nikki listens to is wholesome Chabad music. Why? Because when that music, those words from Tehillim, the words from Torah, Hi, Chodesh Tov, Nicole, when those words are in your mind, that's what comes out. So interesting piece here. Chachma is the father, Bina is the mother. When father and mother come together, what do they produce? A child, which is Da'as. So when you want to produce and give birth to a Da'as, to a child, you have to be intimate with what you are seeing and learning. Seeing good pictures, seeing good movies, seeing good magazines. Those things penetrate your neshama, penetrate your mind. So what comes out will be wholesome, godly, beautiful things. Just on a more intimate note, when a couple is having intimacy, but they're not thinking about each other, God forbid, right? He's thinking about the woman in his office. She's thinking about a movie star of a movie she just watched, right? The mind wanders. So Kabbalah tells us that that child has actually a makeup of all of those thoughts in the makeup of this child. That's a very frightening thought. How do we give birth to wholesome children? By being wholesome, by surrounding ourselves with wholesomeness, by surrounding ourselves with holy thoughts, holy words, even friends. Sometimes we have to break up friendships. I've told you this many times. When I was in 8th grade, my father made me break up a friendship. And I was 13. That was a very vulnerable age. You're just making friends. And I had a really best friend. And my father said to me, you need to break up your friendship because she's having a negative influence on you. And even though I was coming from a wholesome family and my parents were teaching me beautiful, Torah things, but it's the things I was hearing outside. It's the things I'm listening to. When we hear Lashon Hara all day, what's going to come out in the evening when we speak to our spouse and our children? Pieces of Lashon Hara. So the bottom line of our shiur today of chapter Gimel in Tanya is this. Immerse ourselves in godly things so that our chachma and our bina, the two intellectual faculties that chapter 3 speaks about, right? Immerse yourself in godly things. Study Torah every morning, even for an hour. Go on to Chabad.org and listen to a class. I once asked the 3-year-olds in my school, where is Hashem? And they said, Hashem is everywhere. I said, okay, now, when you think of Hashem, what does that knowledge that Hashem is everywhere, what does it make you feel? So I'm going to ask all the women on the class right now, put it into the comments. You know Hashem is everywhere, and sometimes you might be in a dire situation or in a challenging situation. How do you feel when you know and you focus and meditate that Hashem is everywhere? Just put it down in the comments. How do you feel? Okay, put it down. How do you feel when I say that Hashem is everywhere? Sovev kol almin. He surrounds us. He surrounds our everyday being. Wherever we go, Hashem is with us. How do you feel? Nikki says she feels amazing. All right, anyone else? Put in the comments. How do you feel when you know and meditate? Oh, you feel safe. Great. Anyone else? Secure. Fantastic. Okay, secure. Anyone else? Put it in the comments. Oh, Naomi says also secure. That's great. Anyone else? How do you feel when we say Hashem is everywhere? I'll tell you what the 3-year-olds told me. But first I want to hear from mature women. How do you feel when I say, do you know Hashem is everywhere? He created the world and He never left. How do you feel? Calm, peaceful. So even when you get stopped by police for passing a light, you breathe in. Hashem is everywhere. Hashem is with me. I'm okay. Hashem is with me. So Naomi, when you say fear of Hashem, what does that mean? Are you frightened? Or are you talking about awe? Is that awe of Hashem? Hashem is everywhere. Meditate on that. Breathe in Hashem. Breathe out anxiety. Arlene says protected. I love that. Protected. So no matter where in the world you might be sitting in a doctor's office, but you know Hashem is surrounding you. And you feel nurtured, and you feel peaceful, and you feel calm and secure and protected. And by the way, those are the words that my 3-year-olds and the 4-year-olds in Tortat said. You say Hashem is watching us, not you feel protected. My friends, this is the lesson of today. Start off your morning by meditating, either by saying the Shema, davening your shacharit. Just internalize that Hashem is everything. And when you fill yourself up, when your chachma and your bina are full of that knowledge, then the da'at, then the go-to reactions you will have will be protection, security, godliness, wholesomeness. And that is what Tanya Perik Gimel is teaching us. I want to wish you all a beautiful day. Regards again from gorgeous Kelowna. I'll be speaking tonight at the mikveh opening. By the way, this is the first mikveh in history that's opening up in this part of the world, Kelowna, British Columbia. And I will take some videos. I will post them tonight. You'll see the most beautiful, beautiful mikveh. If you want to send some blessings now to Rabbi and Rebbetzin Hecht, definitely give me some blessings. I will pass it on to them. I'm going to be spending the day with them, getting ready for this incredible event. Rabbi Plotkin and I are here to speak to the community, and women won't have to travel anymore overnight. They'll be able to immerse a mikveh in their city. And we have a beautiful mikveh in Toronto. For those of you who want to go, give me a call. But the women in Kelowna will now have their own mikveh. Have a wonderful day, everybody.